Oh, hi. Didn't see you there. How's it going, guys? Merry week after Christmas. Oh, you're all back at work. I'm sorry. What's up, Shiromi-sama? What's up, Greek Yogurt? Doug Rampant. Hope Johnson. What's up, Hope? Wing Chun Boys. Hey, Dan. Hey, Darth. Darth Claire. What's up, Nikki? Nice of you to join. Who will Dawn you fall in love with tonight? True. Dun, dun, dun. Hey, Trenton Quarantino. Tori. What's up, Tori? Shannon. What's up, Shannon? Hey, Didi. Nice of you to join. Caitlin Monroe. Hey! There's a member in here. What's up? How's it going? Trenton Quarantino. Thanks for the super chat. You have a hovercraft full of eels. I don't know what that means. Is that true? Is that real? I hope you guys had a good Christmas. You're off until the 4th. Nice. Nice. You're off the entire week? That's cool. Are you going anywhere? Or are you just staying home? So, you know what I'm really sad about? You know what I'm really sad about? Do you know what I'm so sad about? The Expanse has been canceled. Do you guys watch that? Oh my god. It's such a good show. Why did it get canceled? Oh my god. The Expanse. It's at season 6 now. It's 6 seasons in. You can't just cancel a show like that. Wait, let me share my screen. The Expanse canceled. Why? It's such a good show. If you haven't watched it, it's such a good show. Read the books too. The show is based on the books, and the book series is finished. It just finished. And it's so good. Yeah. I don't know why. Why did they cancel these things? You love it too? Yeah, right? It's so good. Like the world building, like if you watch from season to season, things just get crazier and crazier and crazier. Yeah. I think it was canceled once before, I think. After the first season or the second one. I forget. Yeah, it was canceled. I think it was originally a sci-fi channel show. And then it was canceled, and then it was picked up by Amazon Prime, and now they canceled it. Yeah. Well, time to read the books then. The books are really good. Yeah. Have you guys ever read these books called Lord of the Rings? They're really good books, right? For losers. They suck. All right, I tried to read Lord of the Rings 3 times in my life. Okay? And I couldn't finish it. The first book. Couldn't finish it. Such a terrible, terrible book. He put, I don't know. Like, I tried to read it the first time. I got through a lot of it, right? But then I just couldn't finish. I just kept falling asleep. All right? Then I stopped. Okay? I gave up. And then years later, I tried to read it a second time. Couldn't do it. Same thing. I kept falling asleep. It's a great sleep aid. Okay? And I gave up. And then years later, I tried it again. I'm like, okay, I'm going to give this a good shot. Okay? People say it's a good book. Couldn't do it. couldn't get past the first book. I don't understand. I don't understand. You love them, but he is so long-winded. That's my problem. Okay? Things are so slow, you guys. So slow. Okay? He would write, okay, if you read the books, he would write entire songs in the book. He would have like verses, like pages of songs in the book. And I'm like, I'm reading the lyrics, and I'm like, wait, why? Why? I can't hear the melody. I can't hear the song in my head. What am I doing? Why are you doing this? Yeah, it felt like it was just all world building, which is great. I love world building. But you can't just have world building, right? You need to I don't know, man. It felt like all world building to me. Yeah, I think that is okay. I'm sure back then it was great. I'm sure back then. I think by now we've seen it all. Like so many books have copied Lord of the Rings that nowadays there's nothing new anymore. And I think it's okay. It's okay if you judge a book by the times, right? By the times that you're in. So I think it's okay for me to judge a book by modern times. And by modern times, I don't think it's a good book. We have shorter attention spans now. Right? I tried to read Wheel of Time also. I got through the first book, okay? And I couldn't I didn't have any energy left to read the second one. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Like after the first book, I looked back after I finished the first Wheel of Time book. I looked back and I was like, wait, did anything happen in this book? I felt like nothing happened in the entire book. I went through the entire book. I know like they went on a journey, but I felt like nothing happened in that journey. Has anyone read The Wheel of Time? I don't understand. Oh, I did read The Hobbit. I did read The Hobbit. I think The Hobbit was better. I got through The Hobbit. It was great. It was very good. He should have done something like The Hobbit. Agree on lyrics never resonated with you in the novels? Yeah. Like don't write songs in the book. I don't understand. They're just like poems. I guess you can read them as poems. But like if it's a song, I need to hear the melody of the song in my head, right? You made it through 10 Wheel of Time books. Okay. Look, I read a Reddit article on the Wheel of Time books. And they say, okay, yeah, they say you got to get through like the first 3 books, I think, before it gets really good. Okay, I tried. But I guess from what I've heard, it's supposed to be really good. Like people are going crazy. People like their minds are blown by the things that happen in the Wheel of Time book series, but I couldn't get through the second book. Audible? No, I was listening. No, I didn't read it. The Wheel of Time, I didn't read it. I was listening to it. Audiobook. Right? I think that's how I got through the first book. I think if I was actually reading it, I would have fallen asleep. Just like Lord of the Rings. Okay. Anyways. Your friends want you to get into The Hobbit. The Hobbit was good. I think that's a good book. It's a good self-contained book. I like that one. You suffered through the first book, but greatly enjoyed what came after. Are you talking about Wheel of Time? Okay. I guess. I think I'll give it another try. Not Lord of the Rings. I tried that 3 times. I think I've given it enough tries. Maybe I'll give Wheel of Time another chance. Christopher Ash. You're on the second to the last video of Smiling Proud Wanderer. Did you like it? Do you like it? Awesome. All right. Guess what I have to eat today? Wasabi flavored peas. All right. I hope it's not too hot. It's very hard to read if it's hot. And I'm just like blubbering. Ooh. Ooh. Look at that. Alright, alright. Wasabi peas. Alright. Yep. Tastes like wasabi peas, alright. It's a little spicy, but not that spicy. It's like wasabi. It's a little spicy at first and then it stops. Not bad. Not bad. I don't think I could eat too much of this though. It seems like something you'll eat like after a few peas. I think you've had enough. That's a 5 out of 5, guys. 5 out of 5. Sounds like a gag gift. Snack from Thailand. Anyone ever had real wasabi? Nope, I've never had real wasabi. I think you can only get it in Japan, right? In certain areas. Yeah. People say it's really good. I don't know. Never had real one though. 5 out of 10 is a perfect score? What do you mean? Alright. Alright, chat. Yeah, I think last thing about it. I think last time I think back in the day, people were bored as fuck. Okay? They didn't have anything to do. There was no Netflix. There was nothing, okay? The only entertainment that they had was reading books. I think that's why. People had patience to read like pages and pages of info dumps. Pages and pages of like world building and character building. So I don't think it's a different world now. All right, what happened last week? So last week, basically what happened was that Duan Yu just speed runs his martial arts career, right? So Duan Yu is stuck in prison. He has nothing to do, so he practices his secret martial arts manual that he found under the statue, right? The statue of the woman. So he's this hardened criminal stuck in prison, right? He's practicing his martial arts. It's going pretty well, right? And he basically how long did he spend there? I forget, but he spends some time in the prison. Yeah, and he gets really good at it. So he tries to escape, right? As he tries to escape, he accidentally touches one of the guards and he accidentally sucks his chi energy, right? He doesn't know he's doing it. He doesn't know what's happening, okay? The guard's just stuck to him. He's sucking his chi energy. And then the other guard come. He has 2 guards. The other guard come, tries to save that guy. And he also gets his energy sucked, right? And then like a bunch of minions come and they also get their energy sucked. and they all fall on him in a pile. He has no idea what's going on. Duan Yu like has no idea what's happening. So he speed runs his martial arts training. He becomes a person with a decent amount of chi that he's just sucked from all these people. What else did we learn? We learned that enervate means to drain something of energy, which makes no sense. So he escapes. He runs into Zhang Ling's Martin, right? And then a series of a weird chain of events ensues. He sees a Martin. He goes like, "Here, Martin, Martin." He tries to pet it, and then it bites him. All right, it bites him, and Duan Yu's like, "What the fuck?" And he falls, and he's paralyzed because of the poison, right? The venom, actually. So because this Martin has really strong venom, he's paralyzed. He's on the ground. He's on the ground. His mouth is open, right? Can't move. He sees a venomous crimson bullfrog appears. Now he's heard of this guy before, and he's supposed to be really venomous or poisonous. He should be poisonous, right? Not venomous. Because venom is when you bite something, and you bite something and then you inject your venom into something. Poison is like when you eat something, and it poisons you. Okay. So, anyways, this venomous crimson bullfrog appears. He's supposed to be super poisonous. The Martin bites the frog. Okay, tries to eat it, and then it dies because it gets poisoned by the frog. And then this big centipede comes and crawls into Duan Yu's open mouth. And the bullfrog sees that, and it chases it, and also crawls into Duan Yu's open mouth. And then after a while, suddenly Duan Yu can move again. All right. So digesting those things must have neutralized the Martin's poison, and he feels like he has absorbed the frog's venom. So I guess it means we'll see some venom powers in the future. I don't know. And yeah, that's basically what happens. All right. Lin for me, reading long stories is boring. Also, Lin for me reads us a long story. Yes. Nice one, Nikki. Nice one. It's venomous. Yeah, so venomous. Okay, venom is something that an animal injects into another animal. Okay, that's venom. Poison is when you eat an animal and it poisons you, right? So you have to eat something. So venom is like you inject something into another animal, and poison is when another animal eats you, it dies. Those are two different things. So the frog should be poisonous, right? Because the Marten bites it, and it dies. So that means the frog is poisonous, not venomous. All right. You ready? You ready, guys? Chapter 6. Whose disciple and whose estate? Or descendants into the courtyard. Part 1, translated by Annie411. Oh, thank you, Annie411. Duan Yu hugged Mu Wanqing to his bosom, feeling both happy and concerned. So he finds her, right? So that whole story about Duan Yu being in prison, that was like a flashback. so that we know what's going on. Duan Yu hugged Mu Wanqing to his bosom, feeling both happy and concerned. He asked, "Miss Mu, how is your injury? Did that evil person bully you?" Mu Wanqing said angrily, "Who am I to you, still calling me Miss Mu?" Seeing Mu Wanqing angry, like she always is, yet prettier at the same time, this 7 days he had missed her badly. He tightened his arms and said gently, Sister Wan, can I call you that?" Lowering his head at the same time and kissed her. Mu Wanqing exclaimed, "Ah!" and blushed deeply and jumped up, saying, "There are other people here. How could you do that? Where are those people?" Looking around, realized that Chu, Gu, Fu, Chu, these 4 people, were gone. Zuo Zimu had left with his son, leaving not a single person in their surroundings. Okay, sister is not what you think, okay? Like, you would call a lover sister, okay, in Chinese. Also in Vietnamese. So, he's not calling it, like, my blood sister. He's using a term of affection. Duan Yu asked, "Who else is here? Is it Divine Croc?" Looking frightened. Mu Wanqing asked, "How long have you been here?" Duan Yu replied, "Only for a while. I came up this peak." "Okay," mumbling. "This is strange. How come everyone just disappeared in an instant?" Suddenly, someone behind a rock recited, "Moving thousands of miles with a sword, daring to speak." During the reciting, a person came out. It was one of the 4 royal guards, Zhu Danchen. Duan Yu said happily, "Brother Zhu." Zhu Danchen walked 2 steps in front, bowed, and replied happily, "Young master, luckily you are safe and well. Just now, what the young lady said made us so anxious." Duan Yu made a polite hand gesture and said, "So, all of you have met? Why are you here? This is too coincidental." Zhu Danchen replied with a smile, "The 4 of us were ordered to escort young master home. It was not a coincidence. Young master, you are so daring to wander alone in the martial arts world. We went to Ma Wu De's home to find you, and also rushed to Mount No Measure. These few days, all of us have been worried enough." Duan Yu replied with a laugh, "I went through quite a lot of suffering too. Uncle and father must really be angry, right?" Zhu Danchen replied, "They are, of course, not very happy, but when we left, the 2 masters' anger had been appeased, and they have missed you greatly these few days. After Marquis Shanchan found out that the 4 evil ones were coming to Dali, he became worried that young master will bump into them. Thus, he personally rushed out." Duan Yu said, "Uncle Gao is finding me too? How can I not feel bad? Where is he?" Zhu Danchen replied, "Just now we were all here. Lord Gao chased away an evil woman, heard young master's cries, heaved a sigh of relief, and then he ordered me to wait here for young master. Then they went to chase after the evil woman. Young master, let's go back home, so that the 2 masters will not be too worried." Duan Yu said, "So you were here all along?" Thinking about how his intimate actions with Mu Wanqing had been seen and heard by him, leading him to blush in embarrassment. Zhu Danchen said, "Just now I was sitting behind the rock reading Wan Changling's poetry collection. His Wu Jue, moving thousands of miles with the sword, daring to speak. Once a man of honor, not breaking his promises. In these simple 20 words, which are unconventional and very worthy of admiration," and took out a book. It was Wan Changling's poetry collection. Duan Yu nodded and replied, "Wan Changling's specialty is Qi Jue, not Wu Jue." Okay, this is all like literary speak, poetry speak, I guess. But this literary piece is of high quality. Isn't his other piece, Song Guo Si Teng, even better? He then recited reflections of the door in the green water, leaving the heart of the master, the bright moon, the deep spring night. Zhu Danchen, so I guess these are very learned people, okay? Zhu Danchen bowed again and said, "Thank you, young master," using the poetry lines to change the topic. He used those lines to say that he will, like others, repay young master in death. Duan Yu used those lines to say that as master he is devoted to his subordinates and will treat them as good friends. Looking at each other, the two of them smiled. Mu Wanqing did not know poetry and thought, "This bookworm has forgotten where he is. He gets so interested once he talks about poetry. This military officer sure knows how to flatter people by bringing a book with him." She did not know that Zhu Danchen was both literary and Zhu Danchen was of both literary and military capacity, and usually read books of poetry. Duan Yu turned and said, "Miss Mu, this is Zhu Danchen, fourth brother Zhu, my good friend." Zhu Danchen bowed with respect and said, "Greetings, Miss Mu." Mu Wanqing returned the greeting, and seeing him treat her with respect, was overjoyed and said, "Fourth brother Zhu." Zhu Danchen said with a laugh, "I do not dare to be called that," thinking this young lady is really pretty. Just now when she slapped young master, she had been so agile, it seems as though her kung fu is not bad. Young master was slapped, yet he still smiled, not caring much. For this young lady, he actually left home for such a long period of time, thus he must be very infatuated with her. I wonder what the background of this young lady is. Young master is so young, and therefore does not know how dangerous the martial arts world is. He should not be smitten with her beauty, maybe even causing him to lose his reputation. And said with a smile, "The two old masters, Miss Young Master and..." Wait. What is that? What? The two old masters, Miss Young Master? I don't know what that means. "The two old masters, Miss Young Master, and hope that you will go back home immediately. If Miss Mu is free, please go too as our guest." He was worried that Duan Yu would refuse to go home, but if the young lady would go together, he would most likely agree to do so. Duan Yu stuttered. What would I say to uncle and father?" Mu Wanqing blushed and turned her head away. Zhu Danchen said, "The four evil ones have such high martial arts abilities. Just now, when the Marquis Shanchan managed to force second Madame Ye to retreat, it was by the element of surprise and also by luck. Young master should not be in such a perilous situation. Let's leave quickly." Duan Yu thought of Divine Crox's fierce expression and could not help feeling scared. He said with a nod, "Okay, let's go. Fourth brother Zhu, since the opponent is so powerful, you should go and help Uncle Gao. I will go home together with Miss Mu." Zhu Danchen said with a laugh, "It was not so easy to find young master. I should personally escort you home. Miss Mu is well versed in martial arts, but I think she has not recovered from her injury. It will be bad if you meet strong opponents on your way home, and thus it will be better if I go with the both of you." Mu Wanqing said rudely, "You do not need to be so polite when you talk to me. I am a wild woman that has never studied before. I only understand half of what you are saying." Zhu Danchen said with a laugh, "Oh, of course. Although I am a military officer, I like to act as if I am a scholar. This is a bad habit that refuses to go away. Please do not blame me, lady." Duan Yu was not willing to go home just like that, but since Zhu Danchen found him, he knew that he would have no choice but to do so. He would just have to try to leave secretly during the journey. Thus, the three of them went down the peak. Oh shit, true, Darth Claire. Yeah, he's married to her now, remember? They just got married. So it would be quite a story to explain to his dad. Mu Wanqing wanted to ask Duan Yu where he had gone to during those 7 days and 7 nights, so it was a week that he was in prison. But because Zhu Danchen was near, talking was not convenient, thus she had to resist the urge. Zhu Danchen brought dried food, which he gave the two of them to eat. The three of them reached the bottom of the peak, and after traveling for miles, they found 5 horses tied to a tree. It turned out to be what Gu Du Cheng and the others rode here. Zhu Danchen led the 3 of the horses to them, and after Duan Yu and Mu Wanqing got on the horses, he got on one horse himself and followed them behind. That night, the 3 of them rested at an inn, each of them taking separate rooms. Zhu Danchen then bought a new set of clothes for Duan Yu to change into, so that he did not have to suffer the misery of the holes in his trousers. Mu Wanqing closed the door of her room, staring at the red candle on the table. She sat down, feeling both happy and worried. She thought, Husband Duan came to find me despite of the danger, showing me how devoted he is. These few days I have been cursing him, thinking that he was heartless. I have misunderstood him. Zhu Danchen treats him with so much respect, thus he must be some important officer's son. I, being a lady, although we have been engaged, should not go to his home for no apparent reason. Isn't that awkward? It seems like his uncle and father are very fierce towards him. If they look down on me and treat me with disrespect, what should I do? Hey, I should use my poison darts to kill his whole family, except him. What? Why would you do that? While she was thinking about this, she suddenly heard 2 soft taps on the window. Mu Wanqing extinguished the candle flame with a wave of her left hand. Outside the window, Duan Yu said, It's me! Hearing Duan Yu look for her in the deep night, her heart started pounding, and her cheeks started burning. She whispered, What do you want? Duan Yu replied, You open the window, and I'll tell you. Mu Wanqing said, I will not open. She knew martial arts, yet now she was scared of this weak scholar. It was strange. Duan Yu did not understand why she refused to open the window, and he said, Then you come out quickly, and let's leave. Mu Wanqing made a hole in the window paper and asked, Why? Duan Yu replied, 4th brother Zhu is asleep. Let's not wake him up. I do not wish to go home. Finally, pants? Yeah, finally, he got pants. Pants without a hole. I think he had holes in the back, right? So it's just his butt was showing the entire time. Naked, yeah, that's right. Holding hands, the 2 of them started traveling towards the east. After walking for miles, they did not hear anyone chasing them from the back, and they were relieved. Mu Wanqing said, Why do you not wish to go home? Duan Yu replied, Once I get home, uncle and father will definitely lock me up, and I will not be able to go out. It will be difficult even to see you once. Mu Wanqing was very pleased and said, It's best not to go to your house. From now on, the both of us shall wander in the world. Isn't that carefree? Now, where do we go? Duan Yu said, Firstly, we must not be caught by 4th brother Zhu and Uncle Gao. Secondly, we must avoid that divine croc. Mu Wanqing said, True, let's travel in the northwest direction. It's best if we find a village family where we can lie low for some time. After the injury on my back has fully healed, we would not be afraid of anything anymore. Thus, the 2 of them traveled in the northwest direction, not daring to slow down, only hoping to leave Mount No Measure as far as possible. After they traveled until dawn, Mu Wanqing said, Those servants in Gu Su Huang family must still be looking for me. If we travel during the day, we would be easily noticed. We should find somewhere else to rest. Daytime, we eat and sleep. We should find somewhere to rest. Daytime, we eat and sleep. Nighttime, we travel. Duan Yu did not know much about the martial arts world, thus he replied, You decide. Mu Wanqing said, After the meal, tell me where you have been these 7 days and 7 nights. If you dare lie to me, be careful your... Before she could finish her sentence, Ai, she said. I think that's Aya. Aya, she said. In front of them, 3 horses were tied to a willow tree in the shade, and a person was sitting on a rock, holding a book in his hand, reciting, of course, It was Zhu Deng-chen. Who else could it be? Seeing this, Duan Yu was very shocked. He grabbed Mu Wanqing's hand and said hurriedly, "Let's go!" Mu Wanqing was very sure last night when they secretly escaped, Zhu Deng-chen had found out. He knew Duan Yu did not know Qinggong and could not travel fast. He then predicted where the two of them will head, and rode on the horse to block their way. She frowned and said, "Blockhead? Since we have been caught by him, how can we escape?" Then she walked in front and said mockingly, "Reading in the early morning? You want to be the top scholar?" Zhu Danchen said to Duan Yu with a laugh, "Oh, young master, what poem do you think I am reading?" He then recited, "Birds chirp on the ancient tree in the winter, monkeys calling in the desolate mountains. Since your eyes are injured, feeling frightened and shocked, isn't it dangerous? Remember the debt of gratitude of your homeland. Know two promises, winning words, in your life who will determine your title." Duan Yu replied, "This is Wei Cheng's Zhu Huai." Zhu Danchen said with a laugh, "Young master of great literary ability, worthy of admiration, worthy of admiration." Duan Yu understood that he was using this poem to tell him that I chased after you, despite everything, is because he owes Duan Yu's uncle and father a debt of gratitude, not daring to fail in his mission. He is also hinting that since Duan Yu had agreed to go home, he should not go back on his word. Mu Wanqing untied the horse and said, "Go to Dali. This is the direction we are traveling in, right?" Zhu Duanchen replied, "Since we are free, we travel to the east or travel to the west. We will still get to Dali." The day before, he allowed Duan Yu to ride on the horse with the strongest legs, but now he led that horse to himself. In case the two of them decided to escape on the horses, he would still be able to catch them. After Duan Yu got on the horseback, he directed it to the east. Afraid that Duan Yu would get annoyed with him, Zhu Danchen kept chatting with him about poetry and books, but he did not know about Yi Jing. Otherwise, he will be able to cater to Duan Yu's pleasure. Despite that, Duan Yu was already in high spirits and kept talking a lot. However, Mu Wanqing could not join the conversation. Not long after they reached the main road, and after they traveled till noon. They stopped at a shop to eat noodles. Suddenly, a shadow flashed past, and a tall and thin person walked in the door. Once he sat down, he hit the table and called, "Wine and beef! Quick! Quick!" Mu Wanqing did not need to look at his face. She only heard how his voice was suddenly low and suddenly high, very unpleasant to the ears. Before she knew that desperate evil, Yun Zhonghe had arrived. Luckily, her face was facing towards the inside, not towards him. She then stuck her finger into the soup and wrote on the table, "The fourth bad one." Also using the soup, Zhu Danchen wrote on the table, "Leave quickly, don't wait for me." Mu Wanqing pulled Duan Yu's sleeve, and the two of them walked into the inside. Zhu Danchen moved swiftly into a dark corner. When Yun Zhonghe just reached the shop, he had been staring intently at the main road. When he heard someone moving behind him, he turned back and saw Mu Wanqing just disappearing behind a cupboard. And then he shouted, "Who is it? Stop there!" He got up from his seat, his long arm trying to grab Mu Wanqing's back. Holding a bowl of soup, Zhu Danchen suddenly rushed out from the dark corner and exclaimed, "Ayo!" Pretending to lose hold of the bowl, a bowl of hot soup splashed towards Yun Zhonghe. Not only were they quite near each other, Zhu Danchen was also quick in the splashing, and there was no space in the little shop to move around. Thus, even though Yun Zhonghe did turn around and avoided half of the soup, the other half still splashed on his face. Instantly, his vision blurred, and in his anger, he attacked Zhu Danchen, hoping to scratch open his chest. But once the bowl left Zhu Danchen's hands, he had conveniently taken a table and threw it together with the bowls, plates, and cups towards Yun Zhonghe. Yun Zhonghe's 5 fingers stuck into the table, and with strong force, the bowls, plates, and cups flew towards him. Meeting a strong enemy in a small shop, even though he had strong kung fu, he was still in a flurry. He quickly tried to spread his inner energy over his entire body. Those plates and bowls that hit him all bounced back, but he was still dripping with soup, making him look very embarrassed. Making him look very embarrassing. Outside the door, there was the clatter of hooves. 2 people were leaving, riding on horses towards the north. Yun Zhonghe wiped the soup from his eyes with his sleeve. Suddenly, he felt something flying towards his chest. He took a deep breath, and his chest contracted a few centimeters, and his left palm attacked from the air and turning it. He caught the judge's brush that the enemy had attacked with. Zhu Danchen quickly wielded his inner energy, hoping to snatch it back. His inner energy was not strong enough. This seizing originally would not have succeeded, and a favorite weapon would have certainly landed into the hands of the enemy. Luckily, Yun Zhonghe's hands were oily, and his fingers were slippery. Thus, he could not hold it tight enough, and Zhu Danchen actually managed to get back his weapon. After many moves, Zhu Dangchen knew that the enemy had good reflexes and strong kung fu. Thus, he shouted, "The person with the metal stick and the person with the broad axe. Block the door quickly. The bamboo pole would not be able to escape." He had once heard from Zhu Wanli, Gu Ducheng, that night they had met a bamboo pole-like person, and with the strength of the 2 of them, they had managed with an effort to win. Thus, Zhu Danchen tried to make an empty show of strength. Yun Zhonghe did not know that it was a trick and thought, "Oh no, the person with the metal stick and the person with the broad axe are lying in ambush outside. I am alone. 1 against 3, I would definitely lose." Thus, he did not want to fight. Immediately, he rushed into the backyard and leapt over the wall. Well, that was easy. The guy's kind of dumb, no? Zhu Danchen shouted, "The bamboo pole is escaping! Quick, chase after him! We must not let him escape this time!" Rushed to the horse, got on it, and chased after Duan Yu. Duan Yu and Mu Wanqing galloped many kilometers on the horses and then slowed to a trot. Not long after, Zhu Danchen managed to catch up with them. The 2 of them stopped their horses to wait for him, about to question him when Mu Wanqing cried, "Oh no, the person is chasing after us." On the road, there was a bamboo-like person darting here and there towards them. Zhu Danchen said, "That person's Qinggong is so good," and whipped Duan Yu's horse. The 3 horses galloped even more quickly. In an instant, had left Yun Zhonghe far behind. After many kilometers, Mu Wanqing heard the gasping of breath of her horse and had to slow down. However, once she slowed down, Yun Zhonghe would be able to catch up with her. Although he could not sprint as fast as a horse, he had a really high endurance. Oh, thanks so much for the super chat, Coco. Yo, what's up, Linfamy? You love my stuff? Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Zhu Dangchen knew that his ploy had been seen through by Yun Zhonghe. Empty showing of strength was not going to work anymore. He knew that within 20 kilometers he will definitely catch up with them. Once they reached Dali City, obviously they would not be afraid of anything, but the 3 horses were galloping slower and slower, and the situation was getting desperate. After galloping for some kilometers, Duan Yu's horse suddenly kneeled down, throwing Duan Yu off. Mu Wanqing jumped off her horse, and before Duan Yu had reached the ground, she had already grabbed him and jumped back onto her horse. Oh, that's fast reflex. Zhu Danchen was far behind them, so as to defend them against the enemy. Thus, when Duan Yu fell off his horse, he was unable to save him. Seeing Mu Wanqing saving him at the last moment, he could not help saying, "Good skills!" Suddenly, Zhu Danchen was attacked from behind. He used his judge's brush to fight off the iron fingers. Yun Zhonghe used the momentum to scratch the horse's back until it was dripping with blood. Remember this Yun Zhonghe guy uses a weird weapon. It's like 2 sticks, and on the sticks are a claw, like with 5 fingers, right? And then Zhu Danchen uses a brush, an iron pen, or an iron brush. The horse felt painful and galloped even faster. It was not long before there was a long distance between them and Yun Jong-he. However, now there were two people riding on one horse, and one horse injured. It was difficult to maintain this for long. Zhu Danchen and Mu Wanqing were secretly anxious. On the other hand, Duan Yu did not know the severity and asked, "Is this person very powerful? Surely it does not mean that fourth brother Zhu cannot defeat him." Mu Wanqing shook her head and said, "It is a pity I am injured and cannot use my strength to help fourth brother Zhu to fight against the evil person." Suddenly she had an idea and said, "I'll pretend to fall off the horse and get injured. Then I lie on the floor and catch him unaware by shooting 2 darts at him. It may work. You ride on the horse and just go. Do not need to wait for me." Duan Yu was very anxious, and using his left hand to grab her neck and his right hand to grab her waist, he said, No, how can I let you take the risk?" Mu Wanqing's face turned red and said, "Blockhead, let go of me. Fourth brother Zhu can see us." Duan Yu was shocked and said, "Sorry, don't be offended." Mu Wanqing said, "You are my husband. Why say sorry?" While they were talking, they turned their heads and see Yun Jong-he getting closer, and Zhu Danchen kept waving his hand, asking them to escape quickly. He then leapt off his horse and blocked the way. Although he knew he was not the match of Yun Jong-he, he still had to block him, so as to prevent him from catching up with Duan Yu. Unexpectedly, Yun Jong-he only wanted to catch up with Mu Wanqing. Suddenly he ran diagonally into the fields at the side and bypassed Zhu Danchen, running straight towards Duan Yu and Mu Wanqing. All these poor horses? Yeah, true. Mu Wanqing kept whipping the horse, but it was already vomiting white foam and was about to die. Duan Yu said, "If only we were riding your black rose, I am sure that evil guy would not be able to catch up with us." Mu Wanqing said, "Do I need you to remind me of that?" That horse went over a hill, and in front of them was a straight road, no place to hide. In the west, within the green willows next to the small lake, there was the side of a yellow wall exposed. Duan Yu said happily, "Good, let's go there." Mu Wanqing said, "No, that is a dead end, and there is no road to escape." Duan Yu said, "You listen to me, I would not be wrong." Using the reins to turn the horse, they headed towards the green willows. As they got nearer, Mu Wanqing realized that that wall was actually a monastery, and Yu Chu Monastery seemed to be written on its signboard. Thinking quickly, this blockhead escaped until here where there is no other road. I should hide in a dark corner and shoot the bamboo pole with a dart. In the blink of an eye, they had reached the front of the monastery. Suddenly, they heard someone laughing behind them. It was Yun Jong-he, who was only meters away. Horses don't do well in Jin Yong stories. True. Yeah, remember in the previous stories? Like, they just killed horses for no reason. Jesus. Why? Why so vicious? Duan Yu shouted, Mother, come quickly, Mum! Mu Wanqing got angry and snapped, Blockhead, shut up. Yun Jong-he laughed. It would not be of any use now even if you call for your grandmother or grandfather, and leapt towards them. Mu Wanqing placed her left palm on Duan Yu's back and summoning her energy pushed him, calling, Run into the monastery. At the same time, she waved her arm and a dart shot out, heading behind her. Yun Jong-he dodged it, and seeing Mu Wanqing leap off the saddle, he used the iron fingers in his left hand to grab her shoulder. Mu Wanqing quickly shrunk from his attack and went under the horse's stomach, and at the same time shot 3 darts, one after the other. Yun Jong-he dodged left and right, leaping backwards to avoid them. At that moment, a nun walked out of the monastery, and she, seeing Duan Yu groaning as he picked himself up from the ground, went forward and used her arm to help him up, laughing. Mischievous again, so much shouting and wrangling. Mu Wanqing saw that although the nun was older than Duan Yu, she was pretty, and was actually so intimate towards Duan Yu. and Duan Yu himself was using his right arm to hug the nun's waist, and even had a very happy expression on his face. Seeing this, she could not help feeling very jealous, and she, who could not care less about this strong enemy behind her, went forward and used her palm to strike the nun, yelling, "Why are you holding his arm? Let go of him now!" Duan Yu called frantically, "Sister Wan, do not be rude!" Hearing Duan Yu side with the nun, Mu Wanqing became even more angry, and even when her feet had not reached the ground, she had added more energy to her palm. So she is the very jealous type. The nun waved her horsehair whisk, and its end made a circle in the air. Oh, do you guys know what a horsehair whisk is? It's like a stick with a horsehair on the tip. I think we should look it up. Like nuns like to hold that thing. Horsehair whip, did it say? Yeah, this thing. These two are ridiculous. They are very ridiculous. The nun waved her horsehair whisk, and its end made a circle in the air, catching Mu Wanqing's wrist. Oh, she knows martial arts. Mu Wanqing felt that the strength in the horsehair whisk was really quite great. Next, she was pulled by it and could not help taking a few side steps before she could steady herself. Mu Wanqing, both anxious and angry, cursed. "You are a nun, but you are not afraid of doing this kind of things." When Yun Zhonghe first saw the pretty nun, he was delighted and thought, "Today I have been so lucky. I can kill two birds with one stone by capturing both ladies." However, after he saw the nun fight with the horsehair whisk and how easily she neutralized Mu Wanqing's fierce attack, he knew that the nun's martial arts was really not bad, and thus he leapt on the horse's saddle and observed silently, thinking, "Both ladies are pretty. Catching any one of them would be just fine." The nun said angrily, "Young lady, what nonsense are you talking? Who are you to him?" Mu Wanqing said, "I am husband Duan's wife. Quick, let go of him." The nun froze and then suddenly smiled. Pulling Duan Yu's ears, she said with a laugh, "Is this true?" Duan Yu replied with a laugh, "It can be true, and it can be false." The nun pinched Duan Yu's cheek hard and said with a laugh, "Didn't learn any bit of your father's martial arts, but learnt all of his nonsensical romantic ways. See if I don't break your leg." Turning her head, she studied Mu Wanqing and said, "This young lady is really quite pretty, but she is too wild and needs to be disciplined." Mu Wanqing said angrily, "What has it got to do with you, whether or not I am wild? If you do not let go of him, I am going to shoot you with my darts." The nun laughed and said, "You want to try?" Duan Yu shouted, "No, Sister Wan, do you know who she is?" and put his arms around the nun's neck. Mu Wanqing became even angrier, and with a wave of her hand, two poisoned darts shot towards the nun. Oh damn, she's serious. She's not kidding. She actually shot at her. The nun had been all smiles, but after seeing the darts, her expression changed, and she waved her horse whisk, catching the two darts. She asked sternly, "How is the saber of antagonism, Qin Hong Mian, related to you?" Mu Wanqing replied, "What? The saber of antagonism, Qin Hong Mian? I never heard of her. Quick, let go of my husband, Duan." She had obviously seen how now that it was husband Duan who was hugging the nun, and not the nun who was hugging husband Duan, but she still felt that it was the nun's fault. Duan Yu, seeing that the nun was angry to the extent that her face was deathly pale, advised, "Mom, don't be angry." "Mom, don't be angry." These few words went into Mu Wanqing's ears. She was greatly shocked and could not believe her own ears, and she gasped, "What? She is your mother?" Oh, not a good first impression. Nope. Nope, nope. Ron Yu said with a laugh, "Just now I called Mum, didn't you hear?" And turned his head, saying to the nun, "Mum, she is Mu Wanqing, Miss Mu. When I met with danger these few days, I was bullied by evil people. She saved my life many times." Suddenly, from behind the willow tree, someone shouted, "Sage of the Hollow Jade, be careful! He is one of the 4 great evils." Following this, someone dashed out. It was Ju Dan Chun. He, seeing the nun's expression on her face, thought that she had been taken advantage of by Yun Zhonghe, said with a shaking voice, You fought with him?" Yun Zhonghe said with a laugh, "Starting now won't be too late." And before he finished his sentence, he had already leapt, his feet on the saddle of the horse, and it seemed as though there was a flagpole erected on the back of the horse. Suddenly his body reached towards the front, his right foot hooking on to the saddle, and at the same time his iron fingers reached towards the nun, trying to grab her. The nun slanted her body to the left of the horse, and her horsehair whisk with 2 darts flew out. Yun Zhonghe dodged them. The nun then waved her horsehair whisk and attacked his left leg. But Yun Zhonghe actually did not dodge it, and instead, the iron fingers in his left hand reached and tried to grab the nun's back. The nun avoided them and fought back with her horsehair whisk. Yun Zhonghe took a step forward, his foot on the horse's head, having the advantage of a commanding position overlooking the ground below, and the iron fingers in his right hand swept out. Zhu Danchen yelled, "Come down!" and leapt onto the crupper, the judge's brush, with his left hand attacking his waist on the left. Yun Zhonghe, he blocked the attack with the iron fingers in his left hand, attacking short by long, and counterattacked. The Sage of the Hollow Jade waved her horse... Okay, so she is the Sage of the Hollow Jade. Waved her horsehair whisk and attacked his legs at the same time. Yun Zhonghe, the iron fingers in his 2 hands flying, was alone fighting too, and was actually losing. Mu Wanqing, seeing that he was standing high on the horse and had the advantage of not needing to defend his upper half of the body, shot out a dart and hit the horse's left eye. Oh no! More horse abuse. The horse whined and collapsed. The Sage of the Hollow Jade turned her horsehair whisk and caught the iron fingers in Yun Zhonghe's right hand. Zhu Danchen quickly ran up and attacked continuously with 3 strokes. So now this 4th evil is fighting with 3 people. At the same time, the Sage of the Hollow Jade and Yun Zhonghe were having a tug of war. Although Yun Zhonghe's internal energy was much stronger, he was using half of it to block Zhu Danchen's judge's brush, and also to defend himself against Mu Wanqing's poison darts. Thus, he felt his hand tremble, and at the same time, both the horsehair whisk and iron fingers left their hands and flew up in the sky. He knew that today he could not possibly win, and he cursed. "Fellows of Dali are always winning with more people." Leaping up from the saddle, his body flying out like an arrow, the iron fingers in his left hand caught the branches of a big willow tree nearby, and turning over, he was already a few meters away. Mu Wanqing shot a dart towards him, and pa! It landed on the